So this was one of my favorite assignments because I just kind of like the idea of knowing that one way, one canned method is not the best way, and that a lot of times mixing up a couple of different things is better. And so I love the idea of creating like this mashup of two different learning theories and how they're alike and how they're different, and then how the two can work together. I love that it's okay to be a mixture of different things. Just for reference, one of my daughters is in first grade this year, and she's at a charter school. And one of the things that the charter school really talks about as one of the best things about them is they're not a CAN program. They're not all direct instruction. They're not all project-based learning, which a lot of the charter schools in my area are typically one or the other. They realize that both can be beneficial at different times, and so they like to allow the teachers there some choice in how they feel is the best way to present the content or the activities that they're doing. So I really like the idea that it's okay to be a mixture of a lot of different things, and I just felt like that was a cool assignment. So I chose to do the UDL and the ADDIE, which combined for me to be UDaddy, which I thought was kind of clever and catchy. So I created an infographic, which I spent a lot of time making the infographic, tweaking it and trying to make everything fit the right way and not being too wordy, which I'm not sure. This was one of my first attempts at this, but I upgraded to a template because I liked the idea of mixing two, and this was one where people were kind of dual, and in the end I like the graphic, how they come together, so I picked that one because I like the design. It appealed to me. But I basically just looked at the universal design learning theory is the what, how, and why of learning. Basically is how I defined it here. And then if students and teachers know what they're learning, how they're going to learn it, and why they need to learn it, there's more authentic learning opportunities to take place. And then for the ADDIE side, it's more of a generic process that's used by instructional designers and training developers. And the 5 phases go through analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate. And this gives a flexible guideline for building effective training or effective instruction, and using various performance tools. So I kind of like both of those because I think you kind of have to think about where you want your students to go, and so it appealed to me. The analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate. Those 5 steps really appealed to me in course design, but I also liked the what, how, and why of learning, because I think if you can get students to buy into why and engage, that's really important. And so I looked at the UDL goals and the ADDIE goals, and how each step of the process, a lot of the UDL goals put a lot of value on individualization and differentiation, which is a simple concept, right? But every choice that a teacher makes in an online course, they need to be very strategic and have a specific reason for why they're making that choice, because online every choice matters. Every click of the mouse for students is a chance to get frustrated or to lose them, and so you really have to think long and hard about making sure you're getting that what, how, and why to students. And then on the ADDIE side, there's a lot of learning objectives, assessment instruments, exercises, content, subject matter analysis, lesson planning, media selection. So when you're developing, it's really a time, a lot of the upfront work here really pays off. Even though there's a ton of upfront work in using that 5-step process to really design your course, it really does free you up in the end, once your course is done, to really differentiate and be more of a facilitator in your course. So I liked this difference here. Like, really, universal design for learning is based on neuroscience, and then the ADDIE model is more of a project management tool, and so it's much more probably literal and for for creators, right? And then the personality, like flexibility. UDL's best feature is flexibility. It offers flexibility of choices, flexibility in demonstration of knowledge, flexibility in assessment of learning outcomes, and the ADDIE model being more of a flexible guideline. So there is some flexibility within that, but following those steps, each step has an outcome that feeds the subsequent step. So they do not have to be followed rigidly or even in order. Sometimes you can work backwards, and that's okay. So how did Udaddy come out? Well, it's the best of both. So students differ in language skills, readiness, prior knowledge, learning styles, technology, competency, and the accommodations. Instruction is in the classroom is multifaceted. There's differentiation, individualization, choices, relevance. Making that content relevant is so important. 21st century skills. Technology can engage students. It's the venue. It's not the product that you're trying to get right. You're just using technology to reach them or to, I think back to my TPAC and SAMR models, like the technology has to transform, just using it, handwriting it or typing it doesn't really transform the assignment. So using that technology to engage students, and the flexibility of design is ongoing. So there's not a one-size-fits-all approach, and you're focused for both on the target audience. So those are the ways that they can come together to work together. And so for me, a mashup of the UDL and ADDIE models would definitely allow instruction in the classroom to be more multifaceted, with many different avenues to facilitate learning, to reach and offer learning opportunities to all students, not just average students. And UDL and ADDIE both focus on the learner and offer instruction in multiple formats, but UDL takes it a step further by supporting 3 primary systems of learning. They both stress the importance of feedback, evaluation, and assessment, which is really important. And the ADDIE model, assessment model, consists of formative and summative throughout the course. And UDL is more completed at the completion of final learning, like did we reach the learners? Did we achieve our goal? But flexibility is the best of both. So it encourages opportunities for all types of learners to create, to have specific directive goals, a motivated purpose. So I'll just end with this final statement here in my mashup here with, well, why have just UDL or ADDIE when you can have the best of both? Use Udaddy, right? So I really enjoyed this assignment, and again, this really helped me. I learned a lot from remembering that multiple styles go into my teaching style and my philosophy of teaching, and that's okay. And the whole PLT notion that we're in now, and even we call them ELC, sometimes electronic learning communities if we're online, professional learning teams, whatever we want to call it. One of the most important pieces of that is the shared best practices. And if we're able to look at other teachers and talk to other teachers, hey, what's working for you? Why are your kids doing really well on this and my kids aren't? What are you doing? Share with me. Then the same thing can apply to our philosophy of teaching, and we can learn from all these different models and combine them to make the best possible one. We don't have to be one or the other. And so that was my big takeaway from this project.